let's talk about another trend that we've been observing, not just in the last few weeks or few months, but for the last one odd year, and that is the massive rally seen in gold prices. Furthermore, while of course Akshaya Tritiya was a bit dull because of the lockdown, we do have quite a few festivals coming rather. And I'm sure people do want to go out, and sort of at least celebrate this festival in whatever way they can amidst this lockdown. Dhanteras is one such festival, and it means the purchase of gold, which is said to be very, very auspicious in days like these. But the question is, while you may be very enthusiastic about this gold rally and it's got you convinced that it's probably going to rally more and hence you should accumulate gold, how much gold can you keep with you? Are there any laws, regulations, and more importantly, does the IT radar as well essentially turn their attention towards you? When does that happen? I have with me Mr. Ved Jain, past president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Mr. Jain, many thanks for joining us today on ET Now. Always a pleasure having you with us. To start with, just want to understand if there is any sort of law, regulation in place currently which prohibits me from keeping gold either in the lockers at my home or the lockers in my bank beyond a certain number of grams?
Mubina, let me tell you, there is absolutely no restriction how much you can keep in gold, how much you can invest in gold, how much jewelry you want to keep, whether at your home, whether at your residence, or whether at your locker or wherever you want. All that the government expects that this gold and jewelry, whatever you are having, must be coming out of from your explained sources, meaning thereby it should be from the disclosed sources of income. It cannot happen that you put your black money into the inside and that you invest in this gold. So that's an income tax people have a challenge, and because that is considered to be a black money invested in gold. We all know in India that we are fond of gold, and all families, by and large, howsoever poor they may be, they have some grams of gold at their family. Because as you were rightly explaining, when we celebrate festivals, marriages, function, etc., it is very customary to exchange gold, to buy gold on Dhanteras, to give gold to the daughters at the time of wedding, marriage, daughter-in-law also. So it's a very normal phenomena. So you can keep unlimited amount of gold because the Gold Control Act has been abolished way back in 1991. There's absolutely no restriction. The only restriction is that as and when they question you when you have a gold in your locker or in your home, you must be in a position to explain from which sources you have got this gold and jewelry, what you have, even including the diamond jewelry, what you are having on that issue. So the income tax people can question you the source of the gold which you are having. Nothing beyond that. There is no restriction thereon. And I may just add to that, the income tax people, considering the fact that we all Indians are fond of gold and everybody has a house, and many of the families may not be having any evidence about the gold. So their presumption is that in an ordinary family, a lady can have up to 500 grams of jewelry without any explanation, which is a married lady. And if in case it happened to be unmarried lady, that like a daughter or something like this, then she can have 250 grams. And in the case of a gents, it is 100 per gram. So in case they come for a search or they ask you and they find that you are owning a jewelry, and if this jewelry is within this 500 gram per married lady, 250 gram per unmarried lady, and 100 gram per gentleman, then they normally do not question. They expect that, yes, it is unexplained. And then there are further rules which say that in case your status is like this, that you have a family which have a reasonably good income, and looking to your status over the past years and your inheritance also, some extra concession can also be given. But in case you have sources explained that you have given a file in your income tax return, explained that gold and jewelry, then there is no question asked, wealth tax or income tax return, if you have explained it.
So absolutely no rule, regulation, restriction that tells you that, look, you can store only XYZ amount of gold as long as you can explain where this gold has come from. And yes, even in case if the department does visit and they see gold, if you're a married lady, you can hold 500 grams of gold and they will not even question you on where you got that gold. Similarly, for an unmarried lady, it's 250 grams and for a man, it's 100 grams, whether married or unmarried. What happens then, Mr. Jain, if one is not able to explain the source of the gold? Because like you mentioned, sometimes, right, you get it as gifts or it's exchanged here and there, and it's frankly, with the number of customs and traditions we Indians as well tend to have, in a year, it sometimes gets really confusing, right, as to what gold coin has come from where. So what happens in that eventuality?
See, that becomes a challenge. Then one is required to explain the source from which it has come. As you say, 500, 250, and 100 gram is a normal presumption as per the board circular issued by the Income Tax Department. If you have beyond that, it is not that immediately it will be presumed that it is unexplained or it is undisclosed sources. You will be required to explain. You can explain, yes, I got married, let's say 3 months back. I received these small coins of gold coin from at the time of the wedding from this relative, from this relative, and this relative. The daughter-in-law or the daughter can also say that my mother-in-law has given, my mother has like this given. So there can be an explanation. It is not that automatically it get unexplained on that issue. That's why I say this is the minimum which is acceptable under the instruction which have been issued by the CBDT. But beyond that, one can still explain. But normally what happens when the income tax people go for a search and seizure and they go only for the rich people's houses, that people who have unaccounted money, where there is a reason to believe that somebody is owning some income which has not been disclosed or asset which has not been disclosed. So people are found to have possessed very big amount of gold, jewelry, diamond, etc., etc. That becomes a question. In case you have such gold and jewelry and you have declared in your income tax return, because now income tax return also has a column what we call a schedule of assets liabilities, where one is required to declare how much jewelry, etc. you are having. If you have declared therein and this amount can be, or weight can be more than that, even then there will be no question, later on, no seizure, etc. But if you are not able to explain at the spot when the search is going on and this amount is excessive, the normal presumption is that this represents undisclosed income which you have invested in gold or jewelry, and that is normally seized. And the department makes a seizure and later on the assessment is done. And if one is found to be in possession of a gold or a jewelry or a diamond, which we call a valuable assets, etc., now under the amended law, that is considered to be an unexplained investment. And it carries a tax at the rate of 78% and beyond 200% penalty. So if you owning a gold, say 10 lakh rupees, which you are not able to explain, you will be required to pay 7,80,000 rupees as a tax, and then 6 lakh on top of it may be the penalty which can be imposed on this, because this is considered to unexplained investment. Now this is a challenge, which is a big challenge, and that's why I suggest that people. Now the gold prices, as we see, have gone up like anything from 25,000 to now more than 55,000 rupees around the gold is hovering. So everybody is looking forward to as a gold as a good investment. So in case anybody want to make a good investment and feel yes, it is a good investment, depending upon the advice or depending upon his intuition. So my sincere advice will be to make investment out of the disclosed sources, out of the income on which you have paid taxes. Please do not make any investment which is from unexplained sources. So if you are caught on that way, that you have made investment in gold and that caught, then you may land up yourself with a tax which can, including penalty, can go to 138%. So that's a big issue which one may need to keep in mind on that point.
Mr. Jain, do you recommend, in terms of documentation, do you recommend that individuals keep any invoices or bills, or even if it's, let's say, ancestral gold, then some sort of a document like a will or something that they retain or maintain them?
See, ideally, I will suggest yes, because it is an investment. Of course, you are making do for the festival or the gift, etc. So ideally, looking to the situation and the precious item it has become, because earlier the gold was not so costly. Now it has become 55,000 rupees. So as and when you are making a purchase, so make sure that you take the invoice from the jeweler and retain it with yourself. By and large, you purchase gold by issuing a check or from a credit card or something like this. So keep a track from which you have purchased out of it. So it will be easier for you. I will just give you an example. Say somebody had purchased a gold 4 years back when the gold prices were hovering around 20 to 25,000 rupees. If he has an invoice of that gold, he has purchased, say, 100 gram gold, and by giving 2,50,000 rupees, that invoice is available and his bank account statement says, yes, he has paid from that bank account. Somebody visits and somebody asks question, he can show that invoice, yes, this is a 250,000 rupees. I have paid and I bought it 4 years back when the price was 25,000 rupees. But if he does not have the evidence and then he is asked to explain and he has no evidence to explain, he may run into difficulty, because in that case, it will be presumed that this is an investment as on date, and value of that 100 gram will be considered, today rate being 55,000 rupees, at 5,50,000 rupees, though he has purchased for 2,50,000 rupees. So that is why the advice will be, yes, to retain all possible evidences when you buy gold, jewelry, diamond, etc. in case you get any gold jewelry by inheritance by another. So normally as a consultant, we advise at the time of inheritance, as and when the box is opened after the demise of your, whatever the near relative is from where you are getting, it is better to prepare the panchanama that at the such and such time after the death of so-and-so, the box or the jewelry where it was kept open and so much jewelry was found, and then it becomes the evidence ki yes, it was there, and there are two punches of science ki yes, we have seen it. But even then it had to be within the means that the deceased person was having means to have or that jewelry. It cannot happen. You say, oh, he had deceased and he was having 5 kg of gold and I inherited it. You may run into difficulty because then your liability of the deceased will also be your liability. First, you have to satisfy, yes, he was owning this jewelry. If he was owning, then whether he has paid taxes thereon. If he has not paid taxes, then you may be liable to pay taxes thereon. Similarly, in case there is a will, then one must retain a will, and the person who is deceased, he may write that I own so much jewelry, and probably the description is available, then nothing like that. Even otherwise, he can say, yes, I am owning so much bangles, so many necklaces, so many this, and I give it to my daughter-in-law or my daughter or to such person, so and so. These become reasonably good evidence to support your case in case any question is asked by the tax department later on. It helps two ways. One, explaining the source. Secondly, explaining the period when it was acquired. So you get evidence as well as the rate of that day when it was acquired. So that's a benefit which you will get it. And my another suggestion will be, if you are having such a jewelry and you are filing a tax return, please do disclose such type of jewelry in your assets and liabilities. Presently, the law mandate that only those persons whose income goes beyond 50 lakhs are required to fill ALA, asset liability schedule, but you must keep a reasonable track. Yes, I am owning this jewelry, so that no question is asked on later on that, and you are able to substantiate the source of that jewelry.
Great. Mr. Jain, thank you so much for, sharing with all of our viewers a cheat sheet of sorts when it comes to, possessing gold, physical gold. And of course, what better than, just buying e-gold, especially for those individuals who really want to just invest in gold because of this rally. Then, why not just buy it on gold ETFs? In fact, I would say that maybe we're not far from the day where instead of giving each other gold coins, we'll start giving each other e-gold pieces of paper as well, though it may not sound as glamorous, but
no,
it could be a more realistic possibility.
More advantageous because you
okay, great. So that was Ved Jain.
Because when you invest in such gold
Absolutely.
bond, you get all
Absolutely, yes.
tax-free and
in fact,
you
can, sort of exit gold as well. Yes. Yeah, it's easily liquid and there's no, need to worry about purity, security, things like that as well. So lots of advantages when it comes to e-gold. But yes, that was, of course, Ved Jain talking to us about the fact that, look, there's no limits as such when it comes to storage of gold, but then you need to be ready to explain where you got, gold from or how you purchased that XYZ amount of gold, which may be lying with you to the income tax authorities if there is some sort of questions being posed. Okay, on that note, we will take a very short break, but we have lots of interesting content lined up on the last segment of The Money Show.